North Head. It's a beautiful place, Maoiki North Head, as we look across to Devonport and get ready for race number 3. Two sides, two teams that haven't scored a point yet, INEOS Team UK and Rossa PRADA Pirelli. Race number 3 of this first America's Cup World Series. 3 minutes and 20 seconds before they get to race start. Remember, the port boat, which is INEOS Team UK today, will be coming in from the port entry and is allowed 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And let's go to Shirley Robertson, our eyes on the water. I'd love to know your thoughts of the first 2 races, what you want to see in this 3rd race, Shirley.
I want to see a good race, Stephen, without any issues. INEOS, in the gap between the race, must have had 20 technicians on the boat with toolboxes and computers. But now they're lining up for this start and are flying around. So hopefully we get a good match.
So 2 minutes and 34 seconds and counting to the start of this 3rd race in the America's Cup World Series. A reminder, the port entry will be INEOS Team UK. They are allowed to enter the box 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Just a reminder, we saw a little bit of this, and that you weren't fortunate enough to see some of the practice racing. If you are inside a minute, you'll get a penalty. So you've got to get inside that starting box before the 60-second mark. So here she comes in, well inside the 2 minutes and 10 second time limit, and INEOS Team UK into the box, getting ready for the pre-start. I love the pre-start.
Yeah, the pre-start's great, and they're allowed that 10-second gap between the port boat and the starboard boat to avoid the good old dial-ups from the old days. But the dial-ups that I used to do happened with 2 boats going 12 knots, not 2 boats going 45 knots.
Rossa PRADA Pirelli flies into the pre-start to start this, what has always been called the cat and mouse game. But sometimes, Nathan Utteridge, I wonder whether the mouse is in charge.
Yeah, it's all about power control in these starts and manipulating the boat around you whilst keeping your boat on the foils and managing your own time on distance. The port tack entry boat here, INEOS Team UK, they're the ones that have to really decide the time to turn back. They've got computer software on board helping them with this, and really the starboard entry boat has to react. We see here Ben Ainsley rolling into attack now, and the real question is what is Rossa going to do? Are they going to go past and push, or are they going to try and tack underneath and hold him out? And there they go, straight into it. Leeward tacking to leeward, INEOS straight off the foils. I expect a full park up here. Jimmy Spittle's very aggressive in the starts and just shuts the race down.
There's definitely a flag here, though. UK would be thinking that these guys tack too close. This is going to be fascinating to see. I'm guessing, if I were a betting man right now, I'd be betting against Prada because I think they tacked really close.
Protest said no penalty, Italy.
Wow, amazing. Now Italy, I think the wind instruments just nicked the transom of the Italian.
This is the umpires.
From INEOS.
Italy, GBR, windward boat failing to keep clear.
There you go. Umpires think there was contact, penalty, GBR. Both boats late for the start.
What a turn of events. That was really aggressive by Spithill coming in there, although it wasn't Spithill. That was Francesco Bruni on the port side wheel. He would have been the one that was making the tack. And now this is the same game that we've seen guys over the last couple of days trying to get the boat out of the water once you splash.
Strong arm tactics by Jimmy Spittle and Francesco Bruni, the twin helmsman on Rossa, to start out race 3, and they are away.
Pressure here. We can accelerate
We talked a little bit in the first race about the 2 drivers and the fact that they don't switch sides on Rossa. We did not talk much about the fact that these guys have struggled during the practice sessions to get the boat out of the water, but this time with a little bit more breeze, it looks like it's slowly happening, but man, it's not as quick as the other guys, is it, Nathan?
No, the boat does look heavy, really heavy to get out of the water. We know the boat can't be heavy. All the boats weigh the same amount. All the foil areas are more or less the same size, so it's got to be a bit of technique to get it up and going, but they're not easy boats to get going. You've got effectively no riding moment on these boats until it pops out of the water and you start getting the lift from that leeward foil. So accelerating and getting going is always going to be an advantage of the lead boat when they have that luffing situation like that. But INEOS definitely need to work on their takeoffs, that's for sure.
So we're on the first leg going upwards in this third race of the America's Cup World Series. I got to say, Jimmy Spittle, Francesco Bruni, elbows out. You got to love this.
Welcome to the America's Cup, Stephen. We expect, I think Nathan and I expect nothing different. Just because these boats are radical and fast and have big old, you know, knife edges sticking out the sides of them doesn't mean they're not going to go after each other. And we just saw the proof of that right away.
Well, Ken, I know a lot of the teams have simulators. You know, they are not only developing these boats with simulator, like other sports like Formula One, for example. You can use a simulator to develop the boat, to test foils and aerodynamic parts of the boat. But I know these guys are racing in the simulator too. They are doing all these different set maneuvers in the pre-starts, and it's a really interesting fact these days.
So here we are in the pre-start. INEOS throws a tack in and goes back at them on starboard. And once they tack back on starboard, you're going to see these guys come in and tack in very close underneath. Ben Ainsley puts his bow down. Now that, we'll probably try to get Richard in here, the chief umpire. I wonder if it was the fact that INEOS actually aggressively bore off at Luna Rossa before that tack that made it clear. So maybe we can get Richard on with us.
Yeah, hey Kenny, it's Richard.
Hey, so was it the fact that Ben Ainsley was pointing back down aggressively at the tacking boat that made that a clear foul? And then what did you see was the foul? Was there actually a nick between the boats?
No, it was as close as you want to get though. When Ben aimed aggressively down at them, halfway through that turn, Ben had to turn back up because he became the keep clear boat. The real issue came was when the keep clear boundaries of both of these boats intersected. And Ben had a chance to get out of there and he just stayed there. So it was done probably 5 or 6 seconds later than that maneuver.
And just for everybody at home, the keep clear boundaries, essentially you're drawing imaginary lines between the ends of the wings and the bow and the stern of the boat, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see my screen here, but I've just got it up on it. But you basically build a sort of protection zone around the boats, and we don't want either of the protection zones touching. So
right there. There's your screen. So you're drawing this imaginary lines right between the foils and the bow and the stern. Fascinating.
Yep. So we got them that way.
You got him. Is that what umpires think when you give some poor sailboat racer a foul? You got him? That's terrible.
Oh, it is terrible.
Come on, Ken. Of course, that's what they're thinking. You've been on the receiving end of a penalty once or twice, haven't you?
Just a couple times. I knew it. I knew they were out to get us.
Shirley Robinson on water. That was a hell of a start. It was all looking so good for a moment there for INEOS Team UK.
Oh, it was good to see a battle, wasn't it? And I tell you, Jimmy Spittle's elbows are always out permanently. We're at the top mark. I don't know, hope you've seen the pictures. And Rossa PRADA out to go round. Not had the cleanest of upwinds, but yeah, getting round the course.
Rossa PRADA Pirelli at the top mark for the first time in race 3 of this America's Cup World Series. Day 1 of 3. There'll be 12 races through 3 days. Then we'll have seedings and a semi-finals, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and Rossa heading on the downward leg now to complete lap number 1.
Yeah, it's super aggressive pre-start, obviously, and a foul. But we were also, like Shirley said earlier, we were hoping for a sailboat race, and when a gap like this occurs right off the starting line, a lot of times it's kind of semi-over for the poor boat behind.
Encouraging though for INEOS Team UK, because we know and we do know, we've seen it. They were struggling to get up on the falls a couple of 3 days ago. They get up on the falls, they're getting them up. They're moving forward.
They're moving forward. That's exactly correct. You know, they'll have really valuable data from the boat racing tonight. They'll have valuable data from that moment, and hey, then they'll have times from mark to mark. Let's see if they can gain.
Yeah, where's it at now?
The gain will be a good one if they can get it going. INEOS Team UK, who had a breakage in their first race, are going okay now, but hell of a start. They got out-muscled by Jimmy Spittle and Luna Rossa at the start, and they round the top gate for the first time. On that left or that right-hand mark, as you see it right now, it headed on back down on leg number 2. 3 laps, 3 times, up and down the course.
Nathan, this is where they struggled each of the last 2 times they went around this mark, was this particular jibe.
I think the reason why they could be struggling is it's really puffy up there. You know, the wind is coming off the land. It's bouncing over the little volcanoes that are further to the southwest. You can see here from above, there's just dark patches and light patches of breeze. And it makes the boat incredibly hard to sail. You can see here, they're running out of pressure. They really need to get this jibe before they go out of bounds. It's definitely not going their way right now.
Turning up.
What's also interesting is you see Luna Rossa doing a jibe in the middle of the race course. Normally, these boats are bouncing boundary to boundary, banging the corners as they go down the course. But clearly the wind must be funneling along north head down this left-hand side as we're looking downwind.
Some concerns with INEOS. Let's listen on board, see what's going on.
Yeah, copy.
Okay, chase force coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, they're out. So something's happened again.
We can't tack it.
Yeah.
Got this yacht, so.
We might need chase 3 side on.
No, they can't hear us, Giles.
So when they call in the chase boats,
Should get there.
that's
sure
obviously
they got
it's a
enough
very
support.
obvious sign. But they're also concerned about getting themselves into the spectator fleet because essentially the boat is completely unmaneuverable at this stage. They have no control, so they'll get a chase boat in.
Just make sure, Freddie, they know that we need them on the tow here, mate. Make sure they know because
So
we're going to run into these
concerns
boats.
again for INEOS Team
Chase
UK.
four,
When you
chase
talk
four.
about
Don't let us tack, mate.
unmovable, unmaneuverable, that's a pretty good example. They're a bit like a log in the water, these boats, aren't they, when you're off your forward?
Even if it's a forward tow.
I think what's happened here is they've got an issue
Yeah,
with their
whatever.
foil cant system.
Freddie,
That's
just tell them to
lifting
get
and
on
dropping
us.
the boards, and you can hear the
Just need
nervous
full
voices on board here. They're worried about going to the spectator fleet and
Right, they're coming
potentially
in,
even
someone get in.
capsizing this boat. They don't want to sit upright, that's for sure. When the sails are up
at how
and you
everybody
stop, everyone's doing what they can here. What they really need to do is get that windward foil down vertical, and then the boat will get some stability.
Might be broken. That may be their problem. I saw Ben violently pointing down below, like we got a problem
got them,
down
guys?
there. So
Based on the mark.
Meanwhile, in the happy world of Rossa PRADA Pirelli, they are speeding towards the bottom gate for the first time. They appear to be approaching the right-hand markers as we see it. Make their drive in towards the gate. And interesting
Race committee, INEOS Team UK, we're having to retire from this race. Thanks.
confirmation then from Subin Ainsley.
Thank you, INEOS.
INEOS Team
You
UK
don't
have
need any
retired
assistance.
from the race. So that's, I'm not going to say
Yeah, we're
disastrous
okay
because that's
now.
early days, but
Thanks,
it
Rafa.
must be incredibly disappointing for the team.
INEOS.
well, yeah, of course. But again, this is what practice is for. They have to get out here and break things and
Both
make sure
competitors,
that
the umpires have awarded the race to Luna Rossa with outside help and retirement of INEOS.
there you go.
So it's a short race.
Okay,
for
boys, so
Luna Rossa
they've already
PRADA
awarded us the race, but we keep doing another lap just for practice.
I agree. I knew they were going to say that. This is data. This is the world we live in is full of data. So these guys are on this racetrack, kind of competing against themselves right now, trying to
Luna
perfect
Rossa, go
their
ahead.
tacks, trying to protect their jibes, perfect their jibes.
Ken, the other thing they'll be doing is they want to learn this race course. The teams have been here for months training on the race course, learning the venue.
Yeah, race committee, right?
And
Yeah,
what
race
happens
committee,
is
race
as the
committee,
weather
go ahead.
slowly changes coming into summer. What they were doing here in November
INEOS has
or
retired. You've
October
been
when they were
awarded the
sailing,
race.
the weather is
So we're
slowly
happy for
changing
you
and
to continue
evolving.
around the race course if you
And so
choose.
they want to learn the race course. And don't forget also, the whole
Yeah,
race
copy
course
that.
is
We'll keep
theirs.
going, Ian.
Normally when they're out sailing, they're dealing with ferries, they're dealing with the shipping that comes in and out, they're dealing with all sorts of recreational sailing. Finally get the race course to themselves, and they can do some laps and collect data.
Good point. I wonder if the race committee is going to tell them to get off at some stage so they can start that next race.
No, the race committee said if you choose, you can continue to race on the course. So they've chosen to do that. We have had Jimmy Spittle say that they would like to do another lap. He told his crew they'd like to do another lap. So confirmation, race awarded to Luna Rossa PRADA Pirelli in race 3 of the America's Cup World Series. A retirement from INEOS Team UK, who've had a less than satisfactory day out on the water on course C, which is one of the magnificent stadium courses here for America's Cup 36 here in Auckland.
Yeah, boys.
perfect opportunity for us here to just to listen in on board as they're going around the race course, and
which is good. Sort of
it
bound.
must be so frustrating for these guys right now.
Right, we've got chase 3 coming along, starboard side.
Okay, keep going down. Yeah, chase 4, don't come away anymore. It's good. It's now at like 30 degrees. If you could get it down further, it'd be good. Tell him.
Crazy.
Can someone tell Pete?
He's talking about the foil cant angle. You know, it's how much that foil is up or down, and there's all these different angles. All the way up is retracted up. That's maximum riding moment. That's the windward foil which you're going. All the way down is when you tow the boat back into the dock.
Like this, so.
And there's all these different increments in between. This is a one design part
Just
between
watch this
all
board,
the teams.
Jake.
And what we don't know and what we'll never know is it a one design componentry failure that is mechanical?
Yeah, don't worry, Jake.
Or is it an issue on the software side of things? Is it an issue that the team has to resolve, or is it an issue that the event has to solve for them? And it's a really frustrating situation to be in right now. And we're going to find out when they get back to the press conference this afternoon and Ben explains to us, where they're at. But we know they've had issues for a week now.
It looks like they're trying to almost manually get that thing down right now because the boat is so unstable without those foils down, well down into the water when it's parked like this. They have to get them down, or they almost can't get the boat back into the dock.
It's good now.
Frustration must be top of mind for this whole team at the moment.
Yeah, copy.
Concerns in the first race that they had with the gear issue with the rudder cable that saw the big splashdown. And now this. Retiring from race number 3, their second race of the America's Cup World Series.
Well, let's just hope it's nothing so major that they can't get back out here the next couple days. They need this time. It's very clear. All the boats need this time, but they need this time on the water, and let's just hope that this isn't a part that is so major that it keeps them from getting back out on the water.
Okay, copy.
Frustration right there, right? You're on that British boat and you see the other guy still ripping around the race course.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. There's nothing worse for a sailor or a team to, show up to your first day racing and have a failure like this. They missed a lot of the practice races because they had issues last week, and we don't know if this is a continuation of the same issue or if this is a new issue. But one thing I can tell you, these boats are so complicated, and there is so much software and systems inside them. It's easy to happen.
What's going on right now reminds me of what the late Sir Peter Blake said. He said it's not a game for the person who is not prepared to come back.
Stronger.
Wise words from the Sir Peter Blake.
Hey, my rudder. Hey, my Trav, come on.
Crossing. Yeah.
Luna Rossa PRADA Pirelli now in practice mode. If you are just joining us wherever you are around the world, they have been awarded race number 3 on the opening day of the America's Cup World Series after a retirement call from INEOS Team UK. So Luna Rossa PRADA Pirelli will pick up a point for the winners. They round the top gate. They said they would do one more lap, offered the opportunity to continue racing by the race committee, and they have done so because practice, as Nathan Aldridge has said, is so important to get a real feel, a little feel for these race courses.
That left turn looks really tricky. You come around there, I've seen a lot of teams really struggling with the heel around there. Shirley, you're on the water. We've had a lot of footage of INEOS Team UK dealing with their problems on board. I'm hoping you're following the race closely, with the Luna Rossa closely. How do they look compared to the first race?
Yeah, we're right beside them. We've done every tack and jive with them. You get G-force on the chase boat as well as on the yacht. I think they're really working on changing gears. As you can see on screen, really quite popping and shifting, particularly up at the mark. It's very close to the land there, and there's all the spectator boats.
Am I on?
And when comparing them to the Kiwis, the Kiwis they were versatile. They could ride out a lull beautifully and just kind of keep going. And I think that's why Jimmy really wanted to do that leg again. And it looked a little bit smoother at that time, less touching down. And you know, Nathan will tell us it's a combination, isn't it, of adjusting the foils and also trim of the sails. There's a lot to get right.
For the boys.
But the Kiwis, you know, they were on rails. They were, whatever the wind was doing, they just looked so steady. And for sure, you know, the challengers, they got a long way to go. They need to practice and really get good at changing those gears, making those changes.
Yeah, Shirley, I think you're absolutely right, and it's amazing for us to have your eyes so close to the action. I remember when I was sailing, you know, the AC50s in Bermuda. It's just small little things that can make really large performance differences. If you get in sync with the mainsail trimmer, and if the guy flying the boat is perfectly in sync with your driving, you are just doing little ups and downs, little trim on, little trim off, little flap adjustments, and the boat is just tracking nicely. As soon as one person gets out of sync, the boat starts to wobble, you get the odd touchdown, and I think the difference that we saw and what you pointed to there, Shirley, was that these guys just getting a few more wobbles every now and then compared to what we saw in the first race against Emirates Team New Zealand. And time on the water is the most important thing right now. The fundamental design of these boats is committed. Yes, you can do some tweaking with your design work, but it's all about how hard you can push the boats and how well you work with your teammates.
What I would love to know as we talk about making incremental gains, because these are literally like cars and aero is so important. From a sailing perspective, Kenny, when we talk about incremental gains with this class, the AC75, are we talking hundredths of seconds? Are we talking thousands of seconds to be the difference, or do we have to take it because they are so big and so changeable? Are we talking knots by knot, or 2 knots, or 3 knots?
Well, you're always chipping away at little gains are not quite as exhilarating as big gains, but you're chipping away at anything you possibly can, and there's never just one silver bullet. It's everything. You know, these new twin skin mainsails, how they can completely control the top 4 meters of the sail and the bottom 2 meters of the sail like never before in sailing. Who has done that well and who hasn't done that well? Is it the foils below the water that are making the big differences? Is it how they can control the mainsail shapes so dramatically in keeping the boat smooth? It's very funny. I'm getting lots of text messages from friends around the world. Talk about this. Talk about this, folks. We got 3.5 months to talk about all these things. We can't burn it all up on day number 1. You know, the splash of the water off the foils and the length of the wings and the rudder shape differences and the hull shape differences. I mean, that's the big radical thing. But we got a lot of talking to do, everybody. So we can't kill it all in one day.
Big crowds in for day 1 of the Emirates Cup World Series. They love their racing here in Auckland, New Zealand, and New Zealand in general. Kids out, mums out, all wearing their hats. Well, most of them wearing their hats. And here in this part of the world, the key is they say to slip, slop, and slap. In other words, just put that suntan lotion on and make sure you're doing the right thing. Look at me, mum, I'm on television. Phones to the ears. And then you get those that are wise. They sit under the umbrellas and of a nice liquid and to cool themselves down.
I was down there yesterday afternoon, and
under the umbrellas.
Under the umbrellas, I happened to be, and we had a nice little cold beverage. And I'll tell you what, they've done a great job along the waterfront here and building a wonderful park and for everybody to enjoy.
How could you not enjoy this environment right now? We are very fortunate in this part of the world. And we should never take that for granted. This is day 1 of the America's Cup World Series. Just to remind you what happened in race number 3, a retirement from INEOS Team UK with huge gear failure. Well, that's what we are assuming. It's always dangerous to assume, but it looked pretty darn problematic.
Well, it could be something like a little hydraulic hose. It could be a fitting.
Screw that screw, right?
Well, you keep trying to blame it on humans. I'm trying to blame it on the mechanical part, because the humans that deal with those boats are huge, and they're going to track you down if you're not careful.
And there's a lot of them also. Don't you worry about that. And they're just next door to where our compound is. So be careful what you say.
His name is Steven. He's right here. It's Nathan and I.
We'll send him your way.
It is a magnificent sight, though. If you've never seen these AC75s before, if you've never seen sailing before, it is It defies belief, it defies logic how what a magnificent job these designers and builders have done to see 6.5 ton yacht up on a single foil and a rudder.
Remember, everybody, we have one more race to go, and this is kind of right now the highlight race of this regatta so far as to this point, and that will be New York Yacht Club's American Magic versus the defender, Emirates Team New Zealand. So this is a bit of a, well, it's a bit of a grudge match. Maybe if you can have a grudge match early in a regatta, in an event like this. The Americans beat up the Kiwis in one of the practice races the other day.
Wow, you said beat up. You called 10 seconds being a beat up.
Well,
it's all relative, isn't it?
Any loss by Emirates Team New Zealand is a bit of a surprise. Oh, these poor guys. It's so frustrating, isn't it?
There is the sad side of INEOS Team UK. Almost, I don't wish to be unkind, but it looks beached.
It's just a shame. Just so much work and so much effort. Let's just hope that this is a small problem and not a huge one, and it's fixable and get them back out on the water, because, like I said, they all need time on the water. They need time on the water.
Just as you have said before, Kenny, it's the machinations of the America's Cup, and this happens early in the piece. We're not even at the Challenger Series, the Prada Cup, which begins January 15, 2021. Here at Auckland, New Zealand, as we look at Rossa PRADA Pirelli awarded the race. So they get a point, American Magic have a point, and Emirates Team New Zealand have a point. There'll be seedings at the end of all of this.
Guys, one thing I thought we might take an opportunity to look at or discuss a bit is, while they're doing their practice racing round, just some of the stats on these boats in terms of their design. So the boat weights are between 7.789 tons and 7.819 tons. There are heavy boats, heavy boats. The length of the boats is 68 foot long, with the bowsprit at the front of 75 foot. And the width of the boat is a maximum of 5 meters.
What you're saying, it's a lot of boat.
It's a lot of boat out there. It's a heavy boat. Maybe not for a monohull with a keel on the bottom of it, but it's a heavy boat, and there's a lot of load and forces going through these boats. It's an impressive machine. You know, the foils that they're flying on are not very big for the size of the boat overall, and the speeds at which they can generate are very impressive.
Rossa PRADA Pirelli just doing some practice laps.
And I think another reason they're keeping them on the race course is they want to stick to schedule. These other two boats who are going to be in race number 4 have a time that they are scheduled to start.
Confirmation that is at 5:20 local time.
All right, everybody, stick with us. 5:20 local time, and you just can't say to a team out here with these complex boats and complex systems and complex crews. Hey, by the way, can everybody start a half an hour early? No. Everything's scheduled.
Well, while we are looking at Rossa PRADA Pirelli, the one thing that still fascinates me, and I know you love sails, Kenny, is that there's no solid boom in the mainsail of Rossa PRADA Pirelli nor Emirates Team New Zealand.
Yeah, we have two completely different concepts. We have really kind of a structured boom. You just call it a normal boom, for that matter, on two of the boats, and then on the other two boats, something completely different. And that's what I mean. We're going to get under the hood of how these sails actually work, and again, the systems that go into adjusting these sails, the amount of camber that they're putting into that mainsail downwind. Look at it. There's lots of depth right there in that mainsail, and there's no boom. You're also going to notice that there's nothing sticking out the back, and there's no boom. So it's the boom would be right in this area, and look at the camber, all the depth in the bottom of that mainsail when they're going downwind. So it's really very different concepts on Luna Rossa and Emirates Team New Zealand versus, and there's also two mainsails up there. You can't see it right now because they look attached, but that fares in the back of the mast, and it really makes it act like a hard wing rather than a soft wing. It's as close to, with a soft product, it's as close to an actual wing as we've ever seen a soft product be able to do. Fascinating. And they're just learning. I talked to a lot of the teams. I talked to all the sail designers. They're just starting to learn how to use these things, and they're all fascinated at the other boat, Nathan. You know, it's part of the mystique. All the boats are always following around the other boats with their chase boats, and they're trying to figure out how others. Look at the depth in the top of that sail right now. And that will be flat when you go upwind. Just incredible. Surely, these guys, you're still following these guys. They're just ripping around the race course, and it's gorgeous.
I get my miles in, that's for sure. Interesting, the mains, and I'm so looking forward to finding out a bit more. I mean, the coffee shop chat in the mornings is about the Kiwi systems, what's inside those two mainsails, you know, how they can bend the mast more than anyone else and get more camber and all of that. And we're going to see that develop, aren't we, over the coming weeks. And it's frustrating because we can't actually see it, but we're definitely going to see speed differences in there. It's really interesting.
Lower, Mark. Lower.
Rossa PRADA Pirelli, the challenger of record in the third race of this America's Cup World Series on day number 1, conclude their race. Was awarded a couple of laps back after a breakage by INEOS Team UK, but they do the job, and I know it's Italian. Boy, they look pretty.
Always to be expected. A great, aggressive match racing start. Really, I give Francesco Bruni. It's very easy to give Jimmy Spithill because of his multiple America's Cup wins the credit, but these guys are doing something that's never been done before, Nathan. They pick a side, Spithill on the starboard side, Bruni on the port side, and they're driving off of that side, and they're not moving. So it's really something that we've never seen before.
Emirates Team New Zealand.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kenny. They're sharing out the driving duties, they're sharing out the tactical decision making, and they're even sharing who's flying the boat. So, you know, I think for a very long period of time, people thought, you know, there's a helmsman, he has to drive the boat, he has to be in charge of what's going on, he listens to his tactician, he makes all these decisions. But what we're seeing today is that, you know, there are different ways to skin this cat, and it's a big teamwork effort.
Bruni did a really nice job in that pre-start. He tucked it in there tight, like Richard Slater said, our chief umpire. He wouldn't have wanted to see it any closer than that, but he considered that no harm, no foul. Tucked it in tight. They got Ainsley in a tough spot, and sure enough, he broke that imaginary boundary between the outside tip of the foil and the transom and got a penalty.
Let's go to Ben Ainsley right now. Ben, what happened?
We've been having issues all day with our foil can system and batteries. So it's been a challenge for us, to be honest, just to sail the boat. And unfortunately, the whole thing shut down in that last race. We couldn't lift or drop our boards, and so we had to pull out. So it's a real shame.
It is a shame, but Ben, it sounds like it may be fixable. I mean, I've been in that spot. You're walking around right now saying, oh, please let it be fixable so we can get out here tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's fixable. You know, the guys here, Andy and Joe, I mean, those are guys who solid, you know, putting their solid hours in trying to get the boat operational for us. So, you know, we'll be out tomorrow. But it's just, you know, these boats are so technical that you go through periods where it just shuts down on you, and it's a tough position to be in.
One final thought, Ben. How are you feeling?
I've had better days, but you know, this is the America's Cup. It's a development sport. It's a technical sport. It's part of the challenge, and we'll go back, we'll regroup, we'll come back, have a better day tomorrow.
Nice words. Thanks, mate. Good luck. And there it is, the Waitemata Harbour on a wonderful Thursday on the 17th of December 2020 here in Auckland, New Zealand. It is a magnificent sight. And this is the venue for the 36th America's Cup. Let's go back on that race.
Well, this all happened in the pre-start, and we had our first real confrontation between two boats. Ainsley aggressively tacks to starboard and puts his bow right down at Luna Rossa. Remember, he's coming at him going almost 40 knots right there. So this is not for the faint of heart, but The judges determined that Prada kept clear, did their tack, and all of a sudden Ainsley is in a tough spot. Windward boat, can he keep that boat out of the way? And remember, it's not running it. At one stage, I thought the wind instruments actually ticked the back of Prada, but they say it didn't. It was close right there.
Well, Richard Slater obviously said it was too close for his liking, and the penalty was given.
Penalty clear, penalty clear.
So all of a sudden we got that spot that Nathan's been talking about is where they get down in the water on INEOS and they've been struggling to get out of the water. And when that happens, just distance gets chewed up, just gets put on so fast, and they're gone. Well, but then we had the big issue, and this is the issue that ended their day. They splash down into the water and have no way to actually move one of their cant arms, as Ben Ainsley just reported to us. They have batteries and a canting system failure, and they think it's fixable. They think they're going to be out again, but they have to withdraw. And not just withdraw, but it gets a little dicey because these boats are very, very tough to keep upright if you're not careful. And there's boats out right in front of them, so you heard some tension there for a couple minutes.